building a team of people who are only like you can be actually quite a disaster, I think.
What was the biggest challenge you faced in the military, and how did you overcome it?
Gosh, that's a really interesting one. The biggest challenge, I would say, was actually facing my own demons. So when I was a young captain, so I would have been about, I don't know, 27, something like that. For the first time, having trained initially, because that's how it was done back then. I joined the army in 1985, so it was very much a world designed by men for men back then. It wasn't until I was a captain and I was on this key career course that I started to feel, a loss of confidence. And inevitably part of that was because the environment around me was, it was different to me. It was different to me. It was very, it was a male-dominated environment. I found as I sat around the syndicate room table, 9 men and me, I started to feel, a degree of intimidation, not from the men, but just from the environment that I was in, and the scale of the challenge that I had frankly, to compete alongside them and to work alongside them, and to establish myself as a credible and capable military officer. And there were a number of things, number of problems that I had. The first thing was that for whatever reason, I felt they knew more than I did. Now, part of that was the product of the fact that they had much wider opportunity within the army, so they could serve in the engineers and the gunners and the infantry and so on, whereas I at the time was limited to sort of personnel and administrative roles. And so I had to overcome that sort of sense that I knew less, and I did that by going away and really sort of up-armouring my knowledge, so that when I came in the following week, I could genuinely contribute to the syndicate discussions and conversations that we were having in a way that I couldn't the previous week, because I hadn't really, gone the hard yards in terms of, doing the work. So knowledge absolutely helped me transform, the way in which I was feeling. And of course, what that did was it gave me more confidence every time I contributed or asked a question. Then I felt that I was becoming more engaged with the instructor and the syndicate and the lessons that we were learning. It grew my confidence, it grew my credibility within the group, and then of course it became this marvelous virtuous cycle of things got better and better and better.
What does a good leader look like to you?
That's a really interesting question. I think for me, leadership isn't about, it's not about rank or status or position or being the director of this or the head of that. It's about your ability to take other people with you on a journey. So I suppose in essence that means that of course you have to have a clear vision, a strategy, resourced plans, but the absolutely critical thing in a leader is the ability to ensure that those things are communicated really effectively to the individuals who are going to implement the plans. And importantly, to empower other people, to empower the individuals who are, frankly, in the engine room of the organisation. I think also one of the critical things about a leader is, you've got to lead by example. It's no good setting expectations or setting out values that you're not prepared to live and breathe yourself. So setting a clear example, because of course people inevitably try and replicate the behaviours of those they seek to be in those positions that they aspire to. So if you're setting a great example, then hopefully you're building other great leaders throughout your organisation who are going to follow your lead.
During periods of stress, how do you find the motivation to persevere?
So I think one of the things that most inspires and brings on stress is a loss of control. And actually that's, when we talk about change, things are changing around you, and perhaps you're uncomfortable with, or you're losing your sense of control over the things that you knew, the way perhaps that things have always been done. So it's a loss of control. And, again, obviously people react differently to that. What happens to me, and maybe this is one of the reasons why, of course, a career in the army was perfect for me. When I'm under stress, the adrenaline kicks in a positive way. Mm. So, I want to, again, engage with, whatever that thing is that's stressing me. I want to make a plan. I try to be logical and to think through how I turn a bad situation, into a better situation. So, what I'm effectively doing is I'm trying to gain some semblance of control. In terms of ownership, what I'm doing is I'm trying to own the solution to the problem that I'm experiencing. But again, that's part. I thrive on responsibility, and I think I do my best work when I'm under pressure and some element of stress. Indeed, sometimes I'll inspire that by working late to a deadline rather than perhaps starting things earlier. And again, it's important to know yourself and to know that you do those things, because if by doing that I'm stressing somebody else who process things differently and wants to sort of start work on something earlier, and they're a core colleague or member of my team, then I need to be aware of that. And that sort of, again, that's part of emotional intelligence. And of course, the other thing that I think really helps people and me in terms of periods and times of stress is that, a problem shared often is, it is a problem halved, and we can gain comfort in that. So collaboration and conversation and again, processing the issues and thinking about the issues alongside other people, I think is a great way to help alleviate stress too.
What advice can you give businesses on how to build high-performing teams?
I think I would say that the building of a high-performing team starts with the leader. I think in essence, if I can refer to something, it's called mission command, and it's from the Prussian chief of staff of many years ago. And it's this concept called Auftragstactic. And mission command, it sort of means many things, but if I can simplify it into three key areas, it's about clarity of direction. So a leader having a clear vision and giving direction on the what, in broad terms, the things that need to be done by the organisation. So clarity on that in context, so that people properly understand what's being asked of them and why. So clarity of understanding with regard to the why, and then clearly communicated that to those people who need to know that. So that's direction, the first part. The second thing is that if you then want to get things to happen well, it's got to be done in an environment of mutual trust, where I trust my teams then to go and deliver the things that I've set out. And of course, the additional things that they'll work out that need to be done in order to deliver those things. And also that they trust me, that they trust that they can come back to me if there's, for example, a lack of clarity or insufficient resource. If they identify that there's too much risk, whatever it is. So it's a two-way thing, trust. So that's the second thing. We've got direct, we've got trust. And the third thing is true and full empowerment. Because if I've given absolute clarity, including on the reason why and the context and the freedoms and constraints, and if there is mutual trust, then we can then engage the power of all of the brains within the organisation, because people can go away with their ideas and their thoughts and to create and develop their plans in order to deliver what's required of them.